I think it's making a result dictionary with and it's passing in. Yeah. So I'm trying to think about what would be a different way to do this. Because basically what we need is we need to fetch these IDs for all this stuff. If we already knew their types, we could just template out functions for this. Like if we already knew you're registering a specific object. Even if we had it for a player or something else, we could just be like, well, get this whole thing. Maybe we should just do it that way instead of having like a more generic system, have a more specific system. It's like get for player, and then how we get notified of all this crap. I mean, we could just do the entire thing with the event object stuff and have like an event handler that's like, oh, this player's specific stuff updated? Okay, let's add that to the array. Or like player removed from stats, player added to stats. You know, the entire thing could just be event driven with specific events for everything. And it probably would work fine that way. They're all executed in order. I mean, it's basically like a whole bunch of messaging stuff back and forth, and we just are defining strict message types, and then we just generate all those messages. It's probably best that way. Alright, so maybe we should just keep this all simple and instead make this global event registration system and just do it like that. So if there's specific stats like, hey, this player's stats specifically changed, we're sending like an ID along with the player's data specifically along with it. I'm going to just do it like that. Alright. Why not? I'm getting too deep into WebKit code that isn't really useful. Because we could try to do all sorts of crap, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. We just need something that does the job for us. Alright, so I think we know what we need to build then. It's just a bunch of messages for this. Right, so what has to happen is basically we need another template for this for like CPP, and we need events. Dashkin UI events.h and Dashkin UI events. Alright, so we'll just do all this. Let's add these events to our target. So this is going to be Dashkin Alright, so let's get these guys added in here. Dashkin UI events has got nothing in it. Wait a minute. Alright, I must have not saved that thing. I hope I didn't just blow away something. I don't think I did though. This is Dashkin UI events. Got that file added? Looks like it. Didn't reload. Alright, so what we want to do is we want to define kind of what these things look like. So what these events will look like is we'll have a name, which will be like example event, and then we're going to have variables. I guess I should have call. Yeah, I guess inputs, and then we have outputs. No, these are just events. Events are just triggered, so we have variables. So on each variable we have a name, we have a type, yeah, okay. And we'll do this like the other stuff. So this would example be like var1 and the type would be integer. Or we might have var2 and have integer, and then if it's an array. Alright, so we're going to need to include the Dashkin shared objects.h, and then we'll need to go over, yeah, it's Dashkin. So this is inside of events underscore events dot events as event. Okay, and what we're going to do here is we want a U object which contains all of the bindings for this, which have functions that you call to signal the event. And then right. And we also want to be able to call we still have the same fucking problem. Alright. We still can't have C++ call JavaScript to get the event that it needs. JavaScript has to call back into C++ to get what it wants and return it. We can't just pass the variable that we actually want to put. Basically means there's like a 2-frame delay with the event calling into, like, calling JavaScript into C++ is fine, but doing the reverse is going to be like, hey, this thing changed, and it's going to get queued up, and then JavaScript land is going to say, okay, cool, go get that information for me. And I guess we can have like a pending thing, so we can at least... Alright, well, it might work. Alright. I'm not very happy with it so far. Let's get our UObject set up. So we're going to have a whole bunch of static functions, which so it'll be like static void. This will be like event.name, and then we'll have like a... We need to go through every variable that is on this thing. So list event.variables as variable. So we need to grab the type of this, which we already know how to do, which is inside of Dashkin shared objects, which I guess I closed at some point. Yeah, let's not forget this is a new function category Dashkin UI. We'll need 2 functions for this. One which is you call from the UI itself to notify the game, and the other to to notify the game from the UI. EBS variable type array declaration. I guess it's a const ref. This is a primitive, so it'll look like that. So let's see what that looks like when we generate it. Well, it explodes. Exception, WD template, 25, and UI events.h. So right here, check your else ifs. So else. So we've got if else, if else, if. Where's our first if? Yeah, okay, there it is. "38 encountered an end of a list but didn't have a start of a list." Is that what this thing is? I just copied it wrong. Alright, so let's put back our const references on this. And this is just variable type. Alright. So we have our variable 1 and variable 2 with our example event UI. I guess our other stuff is going to actually be like using macros with the events and broadcast. And this will be from the UI calling into the game. Can we do static multicast delegates Unreal? C++, can we do those? How to broadcast delegates from static actors. Trying to create a blah blah blah. Static delegates are not possible. The reason is that the reflection system on Unreal is managing static U properties. Alright, so no, we can't do that. So we have to declare our multicast dynamic delegates, and then we have to have an actual like object that we'll be calling on. So okay, we need to go through every event up here again and make our delegates. So we want to, let's see, if event dot variable, let's see, get count of array, get count of list free marker. I guess it's size equals 0. Else if equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This will be 1 param, 2 params, 3 params, 4 params, and then 5 params. Alright, for every variable, basically how these delegates work is you have to do commas for everything. It's pretty stupid. Alright, and then I need, is it sep? So that'll put commas in between everything in this list of variables. Alright, so that's our 2 params, so int32 var1 const blah var2. Alright, so that works. Game instance, yeah, so that's kind of how that works. And then we need to actually declare those events, those delegates. Okay, we need the type of event as well. So for every event, we'll declare this is going to be F, and then we need event.name event. And then we'll need some same thing down here for our actual events that we do. So it'll be like for everything. It's going to be this event. We'll just call it event.name event. So that'll allow C++ to talk to, like, that's how we can do the event broadcasts for the UI talking to the game, is with this sort of stuff. And then we'll need all these sorts of things. Looks pretty ugly. But it should compile. I just want to make sure I got the syntax right for the multicast delegates before I do anything else. See if, like, I need to scrunch all this thing into one line, which is going to be super ugly in FreeMarker to do. Okay, so those all need semicolons after them for some reason. Microsoft Visio has stopped working. What? Nice job, Visio. Good job exploding for no real reason. Alright, so we're having problems here with this guy. So we need sep commas at the end of these. I'm starting to lose it. So I think I'll get these delegates set up and compiling, and then I'll probably just try to make sure to reconcile all my files and get the thing actually building, and then be done for the day. Because after a certain amount of time, you become less and less effective at coding, or at least I do, and I can go do other things like go get my hair friggin' cut and eat some food because I haven't eaten anything in like 6 hours. Yeah, we need commas here as well. That's kind of a symptom of me losing focus, is that I'm missing these small things over and over again. Yeah, like I don't even have a fucking comma, a semicolon at the end of the class definition for this thing. Those sorts of things you start missing. Which is more like, go eat lunch, go do something else, come back to it later. So I'll probably spend the next half hour finishing this stuff off, and then I'll probably be done. So I doubt I'll boot up streaming later today, so it'll probably be tomorrow, and it'll be more of the same JavaScript stuff, but hopefully we won't have a sprint planning session where we decide to throw everything out and start a completely new sprint. But I'm pretty happy with kind of how things are shaking up with the UI autogen stuff. It'll really help me get frickin' organized with how the events work and how data gets shuttled back and forth, because one of the issues I was having was, let's just see, okay, does this really need to be one line? Because I think that's what it was bitching about. Because if it really needs to be one line, that's kind of obnoxious. It means the free marker template for this is going to be completely unreadable. Because it's just going to be one line that's like 2,000 characters long. Which is what it's looking like. Yeah, everything always takes forever. Everything's impossible. Sucks. But one thing at a time, right? Like, what was my first video that I even posted of YouTube about working on this thing? Back in, like, the Dev Dashkin playlist. Number 1. Oh yeah, I'm working on, like, the movement code. We can't even move. Can't even move the goddamn character. And that was back in April. See, I should just do, the other thing I should do is a time-lapse video of just, like, me turning into, like, super fat version of me, because I haven't been doing anything except working on this fucking game. So let's just make this all one line. Because we hate ourselves and want to cry ourselves to sleep at night. Okay, so that's one big one line of trash. Let's see it in action. Not quite far in that time. Yeah. Alright, well, it looks like our one line of trash has turned into an excellent one line of trash. Well, if we're going to have one line of trash, let's really up the ante and make it even worse. Let's make all these one line of trash so they at least look nice. C++ land. This is one of the things that kind of sucks with templates is you end up with a lot of stuff like this where to get it to work or to look nice, you have to sometimes do things that are really not fun to read in your template. And I could use like some sort of formatter to do this automatically, but that's the other problem is like no formatter ever has like this specific format that I want to be able to like read everything nicely. Cool, so we got that running. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want like a public function here, which is going to be like static, and then we'll get our UI events pointer. This will be get, and we'll also have a static void set for this UI event pointer. So let's get these dudes rolling along here. Actually, we don't need a set. We'll just do that. Otherwise, we're going to call our event delegates. And we're going to have variable dot name, and then sep comma slash sep slash list. And that'll broadcast our event to the world. And if we go to our our game instance is where we're going to throw our global version of this so we can start using it. So where is the game instance? Here it is. All right. So we want a private u-dashkin UI events pointer class and UI events. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Like, that's one thing that'd be nice to kind of go back and make like some montage video of working on stuff, and like have like a swear counter for it. Like, how many times did I just like rant and rave about some horrible, stupid shit, or like, dissed Amazon counter, dissed Electronic Arts counter. Yeah, how many pounds of salt got added every single day? How many times I said to hell with this and just rage quit? That would be pretty awesome, actually. What do we call this? Get UI events. Alright, so if we go to our game instance, we should be able to add this. Get platform would be a good one, so u-dashkin UI events, pointer u-dashkin game instance, get UI events. So we want to get our game instance, so if this is null pointer, we return null, otherwise we return instance UI events. And we want to make a new U object here, which is right here. So we'll do new object u-dashkin UI events. And that'll be our UI events. So let's see if all that compiles. We have our UI events with our broadcast with variable 1 and variable 2, and we have a stupid ass tab somewhere in here. There it is. There's that little bastard. Example event. Yeah, that's also what ends up happening with data-driven template things. A lot of example events, or example events. This needs to be namespaced. We're gonna have a linker error because of that. This guy doesn't have a namespace on him. Yeah, because kind of how I've been running things right now is when there's an actual change. In like the game state or something else, this needs a pointer in front of it. What I'm having it do is I send a notification to JavaScript, and JavaScript gets like, oh, something has changed. Okay, I should do something about that. And it'll call back into the game, grab the structure from there, and then call it stuff. And it introduces frame delays and weird stuff, and I don't like it. It's stupid. So probably tomorrow my big thrust will be I'll try to get what I was doing earlier with going into the CF web browser window and getting some sort of marshaled structure proper so I can just like call directly in and get it like it should work, because I need to take the time to actually make that properly, probably. Otherwise I'll just keep using these what are pretty bad habits for dealing with UI. I should probably start fixing those bad habits. There's no set. There's no set. Why is there a set here? On Dashkin UI events, there's no set. I didn't save it. Quick, auto generator, do it. Do your magic before it figures out what the hell's going on. I don't think it was fast enough. I think I just screwed up my build. Well, it may have been fast enough. I don't think the generate project file is going to finish though, because it's all locking crap, so I'm just going to kill it. Die. Alright, so that looks like it all compiled properly. We should be able to access our events here nicely from this thing by calling get on the other thing and then snagging this and biting to it. Alright, so let's go through our Perforce stuff real quick. Let's make sure that we actually have our UI reconciled. Alright, nothing there. We go to our generation, we want to go to our templates and reconcile that. Yeah, we forgot our UI events. Alright, reconciled. Anything else we changed? It should just be templates. I mean, let's double check our targets. Alright, so nothing there either. So the question we got going on is, how do we call the JavaScript land from C++ land with our events? We could have basically what it'll call is like, we call WebKit. So this will be like, you know, blueprint calls WebKit, which calls the UI, which calls the game, which calls the UI again with data. It would be better if we could just, you know, not have this other call here, but I'm not sure. Alright, why don't I just take a little bit more time to go take another look at this crap and see, like, so this thing is calling, so we have swebbrowser.h, and we've got execute JavaScript. Well, so we got that they set up, just binding U objects and unbinding U objects. What is adapter? Web browser adapter. URL, Frobber, browser view, create window. So the only thing we got is the execute JavaScript. Let's see if we can find what the CEF frame has on it otherwise. So we've got execute JavaScript, script URL, code, visit DOM, get name, load string, load request, get source, all this stuff, which is not very good. So we don't have access to the CEF frame, like what the execute JavaScript actually does. Okay. It doesn't look like there's a way to get data over to this thread except for through those invokes. Alright, so we're back. It's the CFJS scripting. And let's look at our call stack. So we're on process message received. Web browser window, we received a message. The message was from the JavaScript, and the JavaScript is executing a method. Okay. So the only way this is happening is if JavaScript is executing something and it retrieves something.